Hello everyone, and welcome back to the SNES in Chronological Order, the series where I hope games actually look normal on my SNES Classic as I record playing an hour of each one in US release order. In the last episode, we wrapped up the Super Nintendo's first holiday season and are entering the winter release lull, where we are only covering 5 games for all of January and February of 1992. Technically, 6 games were released in this time frame, but we aren't going to be talking about Super Scope 6 today, as it's a light gun game, and not only do I not have a way to play a light gun game, chances are you probably don't either, and a large part of this series is me suggesting whether or not you should play these games. And that is a moot point when discussing light gun games at this point, until some very different TV and game technology are developed. I mean, you could go out and buy a CRT and a light gun and do all that, but I don't think the average person who sees this video is going to do that. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's get started with Earth Defense Force. Earth Defense Force, or EDF, or Super Earth Defense Force like the title screen says? I'm not really sure which one, is another arcade-style space shooter. It is also completely unrelated to the modern Earth Defense Force game franchise from what I can tell. Based on a very quick count as of writing, I've talked about 33 games for the Super Nintendo, and 7 of them, counting Earth Defense Force, are what I would consider to be the same genre, which at this point in time is 20% of the entire library we've discussed. And that's wild to me, considering I played none of these games as a kid, and no one I knew played them either. It had me wondering who exactly all these games were for. Why do so many of them exist? Especially now, when we know in hindsight, Super Nintendo was definitely not the best place for this style of game at the time, because of all the slowdown issues that it experienced that something like, say, the Genesis didn't. So I was not really looking forward to playing this game, and I'd say the first 20 minutes felt like the same annoying get hit by a death trap, die, and then while being mad I died, die again pattern that I started to experience with these games in my time playing them. But suddenly something clicked, and I really ended up enjoying my time with this game, which was a pleasant surprise. To summarize the mechanics, you have very long stages that may or may not have a mini-boss and then a true boss. No mid-stage checkpoints from what I can tell. You either beat the boss or start all the way over. When you start the game, you pick a weapon type. There are many. I only tried Vulcan and homing. I disliked Vulcan because they consistently put enemies behind you in this game, which is why I found the best success with the homing shot type. You gain experience as you shoot enemies down, and it takes a while, especially if you're dying, but you will eventually level up, and as you level up, your chosen shot gets more powerful. You always have 2 option-style sub-ships with you that seem to have 3 modes. One where they rotate around your main ship, where it spreads your shots more and the options can absorb some types of bullets. A mode that I'm going to call Focus, where they attach to your ship and concentrate fire. And another mode where they follow your ship in a more stationary style, like they mimic the movements of your ship. I mainly use the orbit mode and focus mode, and didn't really see a use for the follow mode. I'm sure there is one, but I couldn't find it as I was playing. As I mentioned before, these levels feel a little too long, except the second level, which felt really short to me. I even got a bonus for achieving some kind of secret in the second level. I have no idea what it was. Was it this boss? Is it always this boss on the second level? I have no idea. I don't know how I triggered the secret, but when I finished the second stage, it said that I triggered a secret and gave me 100,000 bonus points. I do enjoy the enemy environment designs of this game more than pretty much any shooter we've played so far. This game is brutally hard. I actually never made the game mode easier or gave myself more lives as I typically do. I expected to continually die on the first level on the default difficulty and then write an upset rant about the default difficulty of these games, but then I started doing really well. I'm just as surprised as you are. I guess I just decided to get good. In combination with the fact that I've played these style of games so much lately, I guess I'd eventually actually get good enough at them to play them reasonably well. I really liked playing this game. This is the best arcade shooter I've played so far in this series, at least in my opinion. But remember, I'm bad at these games, so take this evaluation with that in mind. Maybe I just like the worst versions of these games, but I do doubt that. Joe and Mack is the only second character and stage select platformer I've played in this series somehow. At least I don't remember playing a game like this in Super Mario World. I guess someone could argue Home Alone is like this, but it's not really. I'm pretty sure every other platformer I've played has been an in-sequence game, or not even a platformer. Like, I definitely wouldn't put Super Ghouls and Ghost in the same genre as this game. It's weird. Anyways, I don't have much interesting stuff to say about this game, as I really didn't vibe with it. I don't love the graphics. You pick up various weapons in the levels. Every level consists of you fighting a bunch of enemies, doing some platforming, and fighting a boss, which is typically a dinosaur, or some dinosaur-adjacent thing. This game somehow has a limited number of continues, but does not say that literally anywhere unless I missed it, and is a huge reason why I dislike it so much, as I would have tried a little harder to not die in some instances had I known that you only had a certain number of continues. When you beat a boss, you get a kiss from a cute cave lady for some reason. There's some really long, boring, repetitive boss fights that I respect you all too much to show too many of for the extended periods of time. I could literally make all of the game footage that I put in this for this be a boss fight, and I wouldn't even show you, I don't know, quarter of the boss fights that I saw in the hour I played. But it's that thing where bosses will spend a lot of time invincible and only give you a small window to actually hit them and do damage to them. I don't love the collision physics in this game with the platforms or how you take damage. It's honestly hard to describe exactly why I dislike this game so much. It just feels very bad to play to me. I'm very salty about the whole running out of continues with no warning thing. So understand, I'm mostly writing this review coming from a place of hurt after running out of continues and not knowing that I would. I know Joe and Mack 2 is on the Switch SNES app, but I'm not sure if this one is there. I don't know, this game just isn't for me. It's playable, so it could be for you if all the things that bother me about it don't bother you, but I think you could find a better video game to play, to be honest. You know how I was saying an episode or two ago that Lagoon was trying to be an Ys game? It absolutely was. However, this Ys game is side-scrolling as opposed to the top-down style, which I thought most Ys games were top-down bumper car enemy style games. I don't know. There's like a million of them at this point, and I've never really even paid attention to any, so maybe they changed genres or something. Anyway, this is Ys 3 Wanderers from Ys. I didn't even put that in my script anywhere. So it starts with a pretty long intro sequence, and I actually think these anime cutscenes look pretty good. I think they look better than Lagoon, but I don't want to just crap all over that game in this review, so this is the last I'll mention it. You spend time exploring the town, you buy some gear, and you go to try to save some people from a mine after the villagers explain to you that something has happened in the mine. Oh my god, this intro is identical to Lagoon. As you go into the mine, you see monsters. Fighting in this game is annoying. How you get hit is questionable, and I assume the first thing that the game designers thought you would do in this dungeon was walk back and forth in the first room for 10 minutes straight trying to level up, because if you don't, the first enemies you see in the next room will kill you in 2 hits, and you literally can't damage them. If it isn't clear, I kind of hate this. It's difficult to describe, but none of the combat actually feels right. Hitboxes seem off. Damage calculations feel unbalanced. Experience is slow. You can hold 1 stack of herbs that refills your health. and after you use it, you have to walk all the way back to town and buy it again through several interface windows and walk all the way back. I'm not just trying to whine or anything here, but this particular grinding is ridiculously repetitive, and it's not the kind of grind that I find relaxing. Also, check out the hitbox on this slime. Here's a boss fight if you're curious what that looks like. This was interesting, to be honest, but also scary and very exemplary of the weird hitboxes I'm talking about. I think my biggest issue with this combat system is that hits don't have any weight to them. Knockback is virtually non-existent. I also don't love the art style, but I don't hate it. Ultimately, I don't really want to spend more time playing this game, and that's the bottom line. This is another game where I get what they were going for, but the combat and world simply don't resonate with me, and I don't want to chill out in this game, and that's really what I'm looking for out of games nowadays. You could try this game, but if you're wanting to get into the Ys franchise, I'm pretty sure that it has better games to offer. So, this is kind of a joke, but no wonder there were so many 90s freakouts about violent video games. I'm honestly genuinely surprised that Super Smash TV is a real game on the Super Nintendo. I'm guessing this is a port of the arcade game Smash TV, but I don't know exactly how accurate it is of a port, because I've never played Smash TV. The premise is, in the future, 1999 in this case, which is hilarious. Game shows are still popular, but people don't really want to see The Price is Right anymore. They want to see people massacred on live television. Kind of like The Running Man. For some weird reason, I couldn't remember the name of that movie when I was trying to write the script. I kept thinking Blade Runner, and that is a very different kind of movie. This is somehow a twin-stick shooter, even though you have 0 sticks. Since you have 0 sticks, you walk with the D-pad and aim with your A, B, X, Y buttons, and they shoot in their respective cardinal directions. You shoot waves of enemies that will try to kill you. You can pick up power-ups. Each room has a theme or an objective. You can fight a boss that takes infinitely longer than it should take to fight any boss, but I'm probably just bad at the game. I had fun playing this game, but it's just a high-score game at the end of the day, and I'm not trying to diminish it. I think the graphics are decent, the sound is good, the game is fun, but you're just trying to get a high score and get through some levels. And that's not what I'm looking for in console games, especially with the fact that I got so bored and annoyed during the one boss fight I experienced. I will say this particular thing in this boss fight made me laugh out loud while I was playing. This game is good and fun. It's an incredibly unique experience, assuming you haven't played the dozen Flash games inspired by this game. I think if you can play this game with a friend, it would be a pretty good time, at least for a while. If I were to come back to this game, that's how I would do it. Look, I actually really like baseball. I try to go to my city's minor league team games at least once a year, but I just can't play these baseball games. This is Nolan Ryan's baseball, by the way. I just can't do it. They all play practically identically, and I just can't stand it every time. I will say a pretty funny fact about this game is in Japan it's called something like Super Stadium, and it has none of the Nolan Ryan branding and has these very anime animations at some points, and it's just so strange to me that the Nolan Ryan branding would be here in America, but it's just, I don't know. Like something clearly not American, but then they try to put a bunch of, I would say MLB trappings, but the game's not licensed on top of it. But yeah, this is another game where my players were ridiculously slower than my opponents, and getting anything to happen the way I wanted it to felt impossible. I've already done math in this episode, and I'm not really interested in doing it again, but it really feels like there are just a huge number of these super mediocre baseball games all over the Super Nintendo's library. I'm sorry if you like these games, but I really don't see the appeal. Well, that was a fun episode. It was interesting to finally try an East game. I sadly don't see the appeal in that one, though. It feels like the quality of these early Super Nintendo games has such a wide range. Just really good games that feel great, and then games that feel horrible. All right next to each other all the time. I'm not sure if this is how every episode is going to go moving forward, but I definitely didn't expect this project to feel like this when I started it. I'm getting a much better understanding of what the Super Nintendo would have been like if I was playing it like I did, say, my Xbox growing up. I feel like only playing the greatest hits growing up kind of clouded my judgment of what the Super Nintendo was actually like, but we aren't even a year in yet, so we have a lot of room to improve, I think. In the next episode, we'll be playing the games released in March 1992, where the only game I'm even remotely aware I've heard of is Lemmings. So that should be an enlightening experience. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel to continue on this journey through the Super Nintendo's library with me. I've got a playlist with all my previous episodes if you would like to check those out. Let me know if you're gonna check out any of the games in the video and why in the comments. I'd love to know what you thought or if you have any nostalgia for any of these games, including Nolan Ryan's baseball. I mean, maybe someone can find enjoyment out of these old Super Nintendo baseball games. Anyways, I'll talk to y'all later. Have a good day.